Nigeria, and also that of Ogun State can be heard on the Periscope. The Periscope on Al-IyamoyeTv and radio with the host Fisayomi Ajibola every weekdays, Mondays to Fridays, 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. You won't want to miss it.
Al-IyamoyeTV and radio, still a beautiful morning, Monday morning, the 24th day in the month of July 2023. And welcome to Periscope on Al-IyamoyeTV and radio. And of course, we look through different topical issues, bring to the front burner topical issues, and of course, conversational topics that of course affect everyone and the country at large, so to say, either directly or indirectly, but definitely on Periscope we'll dissect and look into different issues that are worth looking into right here on Al-IyamoyeTV and radio. So welcome once again to the Monday first edition for the week on this frequency. My name is Modupe Akinyosoye, and as always, bringing to the front burner different topical issues. So this morning we will be looking into a very vital and sensitive issue and topic this morning. Of course, when it has to do with education, we say that education is key, very paramount, important, and of a matter of fact is an essential aspect of human life that definitely could bring about development in every society. And it's not so much of a news anymore of the increment in tuition fee, especially when it has to do with Nigerian government colleges, that's unity universities, so to say, due to the different actions that have been taken so far by the present administration. We have had several hikes in different aspects, talking about the economy, talking about power sector, talking about health and even education. And so this has actually affected the education sector and has led to the increment in tuition fee of unity schools. Now, these have come with mixed reactions. You could recall, or it could be recalled that that was a few days after the approval of student loan, institution decided to hike their tuition fee, and these had come with mixed reactions, several reactions, both from the players, education players, and of course the parents and even students. And the mixed reactions have actually trailed the increase in fees across Nigerian federal government colleges, otherwise known as unity schools, and reports across many media platforms indicated that the fees payable by the fresh students of more than 100 colleges had increased from the old rate, some about 45,000 naira to 100,000 naira, a more than 100% increase. And of course, the report quoted a memo addressed to the principals of the colleges of the Federal Ministry of Education and signed by the director, Senior Secondary Education, Binta Abdulkadir, but the government has neither confirmed nor denied the development. But however, findings among some senior officials of the ministry and teachers of some of the colleges who do not want to be quoted to avoid sanctions confirmed the increase, but they denied the quoted amount in the media. Now, according to sources, the only charge that increased for the returning students is the boarding fee from 15,000 naira to 30,000 naira. For the new students, however, there is an additional payment of 25,000 naira for uniforms, which the sources confirmed was previously not part of a student's payment schedule. And of course, hostel fee of 15,000 naira is the only increase in the last 5 years for or thereabouts. One official also mentioned that. But in different reactions from, especially parents and even students, even NANs have threatened to embark on strike, nationwide strike, that of the lecturer strike that happened for almost 8 months, and of which even parents now lament on the tuition fee more than 100% hike. And reaction to the fallout of the student loan, according to the students, especially NAN, saying that not even all students will have access to the grant of the loan. And according to actually different interviews have been granted, and according to a reaction from a former chairman of the Academic Staff Union of Polytechnics, ASUP, at the Federal Polytechnic Ede Osun State, Nuruddin, whose children are students at one of the colleges. He described the situation as a mixed bag. He said the increase may be justified by the country's economic situation, but that the hardship being suffered by the people make it difficult for the people to cope. So it's a two-way traffic, so to say. Reaction from the aspect of the fact that being justifiable of the economic situation, that it could be needed for universities to increase the tuition fee depending or due to the fact that we have general economic crisis, and of course the reaction from the people that are involved, that are going to be paying, parents and students, talking about how uneasy or how it won't be very comfortable paying those tuition fee. All of that, actually, the different reaction that these had been trailing is what we'll be looking into this morning, talking about the increment in tuition fee of Unity schools. And joining me this morning in the studio is Fisayomi Ajibola. We'll be doing this together. He's a journalist, seasoned journalist, political pundit, and of course, a specialist right here. We'll be doing this discussion together. Good morning. Good to have you.
Good morning.
And I'm sure you had a restful weekend.
So much.
So, talking about the increment in Unity school tuition fee, basically these have been in the dealings for quite a while with different reactions from different angles. Even the NANS at the weekend was talking about a threat of strike. But first of all, let's hear your view, your overview on the increment, because we've had sources from University of Lagos, Benin, University of Benin already increased their tuition fee. What is your take generally on the increment?
Okay, the increment, it is no wrong to increase the price of a commodity or the price of a service. Why you sometimes have to increase is when you look at the cost of production and the more profit margin on your consumption, or your commodity, or the service you're rendering. When you find out that you are virtually giving it out free and you're not running a promo, you tend to do a kind of price adjustment. And before you do that, you need ordinarily to give attention to the sensitivity of your clients or customers. You have to look at it this way. I sell a loaf of bread for 800 naira, and I want to increase it to 900 naira. The first thing I'll ask myself as the owner of the bakery is, what is the rate that my competitors are selling?
Okay.
Then I will now ask myself, what value added am I bringing, am I adding to that loaf of bread that will justify the increment? And I will now ask myself, the purchasing power of people who are patronizing me, can their purchasing power accommodate this increment? Those are vital things to check out when you are looking at the increasing price of commodity. Now, let's talk about the brand Nigeria and the hike in the tuition fee. The tuition fee hike affected the universities and also the Unity School.
Yeah.
And I would sum it up by saying it is not the right time. It is not the best time. In anywhere in the world, education is expensive. Everywhere, especially universities. Yes, in some countries, they have free educations for toddlers to the level of going to college. But from college to universities, you pay for it. You pay for it. Now, in Nigeria, if you're going to increase the tuition fee and some associated accredited fees, There are factors you choose check. Let's look at Nigeria as out of today. We're discussing this. The pump price of a petrol is over 600 naira in most places. Standard of living. People are groaning. People cannot readily afford feeding, not to talk of clothing or shelter. Now, if people are going through this critical situation where the numbers of out-of-school students is increasing in Nigeria, you're not adding to the tuition fee. It's as if you are coming out to say, I don't want you to go to universities again. I don't want you to attend universities again. Go and stay at home or learn a trade. Because if this hike, if you remember, I think it was objected by a member of House of Representatives, Al-IyamoyeTv, NNP Kano, who said this is not the best of time, that the rep should sit up to it and stop the federal government from adding this hike. Unfortunately, that was the last we heard about it. The next thing we heard is about 200% increment. Some were paying about 19,000 naira before, we were paying about 119,000. Some were paying 38, we were paying close to 200,000 naira. That increment, that margin is wide. Yes, we understand the fact that those who teach in those schools have family heads. They are not immune to the prices of commodities. Agreed. Because they live in this country. They will buy for that. If I'm giving you 100,000 naira today, I think it's worthless. Why I would say it's worthless is if you have a car, let's assume you spend 2,000 naira on your car on daily basis. 2 times 30, 60,000 naira for fuel alone. If you do have a child that you have to pay school fee, you have to eat at home, are you telling me the 40,000 naira left can feed that family of 3 for 30 days? No. So as a lecturer, it is no crime for me to call for increment of my salary. And where do they get it from? From what school pays? From what student pays? Okay, so some who federal government pays directly, some the federal government have left them to their fate that whatever they get from students is what they use to take care of the school. That if the parents of this student too have not gotten increment from anywhere, standard of living is increasing, clothing is increasing, shelter, feeding is increasing, but salary is not increasing. How do you want to merge the two or merge it all? It's not possible. So I see it as the act of being insensitive on the part of the federal government, coming out at this time to put any hike to the tuition fee. Oh, they did come out to tell us about student loan. They told us that by July 1st, the student loan will be active. Except if you have not had the record of any. Have you seen anybody or pictures of somebody who has come out to have seized the loan? No. Does that mean that's how much Nigerians don't want loan for 30 days? Even if you look at the modality of the loan, I said it when the thing was, the policy was reviewed by Mr. President. I said, it is dead on arrival. Because those who see the conditions that goes with the loan. I have to go and look for one level 13. My parents must be earning like a 500k monthly. How many parents earn such amount of money? So if this is happening at this time, and the government is seeing it as, oh, I don't care, I need more money. Another thing I think the federal government also should be looking at is doing a scaling on tertiary institutions. We need it's an organization. I think there is a ministry that they are saddled with the responsibility of doing a kind of price control. Yes.
Regulation.
Yes, the price regulatory something. I think that this is one of their duty too. They should be able to talk to the schools and like, before you increase, come to us. Okay, let's take example of Unilag. Unilag came out to say they have had series of discussions with stakeholders, parents, custodians, students, and co. before they arrive at that rate. Now, if you said you have, what about those parents? Is it all of them that can afford what you have increased to? Those who you might have spoken with might just be ESCO. And for God's sake, before you can be part of ESCO, of the parents,
PTA, Parent Teachers Association.
In school like Unilag, you must know who you are. So, if they have discussed with stakeholders, when the increment reflected in what the students are going to pay, it was greeted with a reaction that they don't like. They issued another statement pleading that, well, we know what is happening, but we cannot continue this way. Do you know how much diesel is? Do you know how much petrol is? They power their appliances there. The lecturers buy fuel to come to school. The lecturers have students at home, children at home to take care of. So we cannot continue to come up with price increment, hiking prices to the detriment of ourselves, while the federal government is just staying aloof and watching us suffering.
So you're saying that because if we go through the reasons for the increment, would you say that they are not justifiable enough to bring about any increment? Because like you mentioned, the economic hardship is general, which has affected every aspect of the economy, so to say. And according to some reaction saying that the increase may be justified by the country's economic situation, but that the hardship being suffered by people may make it difficult for people to cope. It's like a two-way thing. Checking through their reasons for the increment, would you say is not justifiable at all for even a little amount of increment? Because some would say that the over 100% is too much if it could be lesser. Or are you of the opinion that the reasons for their increment shouldn't even bring about increment at all? It's not justifiable.
It's not justifiable.
Okay.
In the span of 3 months, the federal government has increased pump price of fuel from 200 and something to 300 and something to 600 and something within 3 months, May, June, July. But we cannot protest. We cannot say we are not comfortable with it, because whatever it is that is happening now, I don't want to go deep into politics, because it's unfortunate that we don't have opposition party. If there is opposition party, people should be on the streets of Nigeria today telling federal government we don't want this. If you remember, twilight to the administration of former President Goodluck Jonathan, these people who are in government staged a protest across board, and former President Goodluck Jonathan was forced to bring down the pump price. Now, they are in government. Part of their promises is that you are buying petrol for 200. Who will bring it down? 200, now 700. Have you brought it down? No. Is anybody protesting? No. Nobody is able to face them and tell them this is not acceptable. Now, coming back to the hike, reason for the hike. Yes, we know that it's pretty difficult to make ends meet in Nigeria, especially when there is no adjustment in the basic salaries of civil servants. But even if you are paying more, I could remember some weeks ago, the NLC and the TUC are fighting for increment, projecting that at least a 200,000 naira should be, 200,000 should be the minimum wage. That is not the best thing. The federal government can give you 200,000 naira
and use the other hand and commensurate with the standard of living.
Yes, and collect it back. What should we be talking about is price control. Let's control the prices of our commodity. If there's going to be any increments in the minimum wage, it should be little, not from 30,000 naira to 200,000 naira. No. The federal government can sit with you and say, okay, no, we cannot pay 200,000. We'll pay 150. You will be happy. Yeah? That 150. A Congo of Gari will be 5,000 naira. And they will get all what they are giving you back. So, the TUC and the NLC, I don't think asking for increment in minimum wage is the main thing. No, it is not. Let's talk about price control. Now, to the tertiary institutions, see, what they have concluded or what they have made Nigerian students to do now is either to defer their admission or drop out of school. Some will write, okay, this section, I will not be able to pay for this fee, for the tuition fee. I will defer my admission for 1 year. Let me go and work and gather money. I will come back next year. If that person will be able to save enough so that he or she can come back next year. But to some, it's like you just telling them, don't come to class again. It's not just the tuition fee. Even hostel, the accommodation is like 100%. Why that of tuition fee is over 100%, close to 200%. So the federal government is just like, what I see them doing is like sending some of the students away from school completely, making the tertiary institutions to be available only for the rich.
Before we come to the federal government and of course making it difficult and all of that, this development immediately came into limelight after the approval of the student loan, which then, even before the student loan, though the economy was not this much hard, so to say, before the approval of the student loan, but the reason for the increment didn't come before the student loan was approved, and tagging it to the fact that economic hardship everywhere. But it immediately came to limelight after the approval of the student loan, of which we know the Nigerian factor of implementation of things like this, how it always turn out to be, so to say. Would you say that the student loan is responsible for the student loan approval, or basically the notion that universities will think, since the federal government is giving a platform for the loan, they can feel free to increase the tuition fee?
If that is the intention of the government, that is very, very bad. And I don't see that as being reasonable enough. I don't see that as something to justify the increment. You have, yes, truly you came out with the news from student loan. If you say the student loan should be applied for, great. What are the conditions? How long will it take? This is not the first time in Nigeria that we are hearing about student loan. Back in the days, there were student loans even before this democracy. I think it was during one military era. I think it was Yakubu Gowon or somebody like that. Did a student loan, and the idea of the student loan is they don't pay you as a student. What you do is you bring your admission letter. They know the tuition fee of the schools. You bring your admission letter. Tell them this is it. That the government will pay your tuition fee, your hostel, and give you some like a stipend for you to hold. Those things are what they are going to do for you throughout your years in school. And when you are done, they will get you a job. And from that job, they will remove what they have borrowed you within a stipulated time. Maybe 8 years, 10 years, depending on the agreement you sign. Now in Nigeria, in this era that we have this loan scheme. This loan scheme instead is not telling you that they will give you a job. This loan scheme is only paying for your tuition fee. Do you know tuition fee is even in the list of the money you spend in school?
Of course, just one out of many.
One out of many. If they ask you to buy handouts, if they ask you to pay for project, where do you get the money from? So that's why I said this loan scheme is a shambles. It looks to me more like a scam. Because you have not put it well. Some people said, let's experiment it. By the time we start doing it, we started with it, we will know where we have to adjust. Where do you want to adjust? Something that we have done before.
I wanted to say, isn't it, can that be can the one that had happened before not be used as a template?
It can be used as a template to say, okay, this is the template. This person has done it. If you have one or two things to adjust there, these people were alive when this scheme was first used in Nigeria. They were alive. It's not like 100 years ago. No. Some of them benefited from it. So if they have benefited from it, what stops them from doing it that way and add a little bit of technology to it to trace it? You have a bank who will be the financial partner who will credit the school? The money will drop in the bank. They will credit the school. See, we have a scheme like that. Though, that one too is another fraud. Where they said farmers can go and borrow money. You go and fill form as farmer. You bring details of your land. You bring this. They will not give it to you. They call it Ankoborwa. They will not give you, tell you they will be crediting you. They will not credit you directly. They will credit those who you buy seedling from. They will credit those who you buy, who tractors that will come work on your farm, this and that. They will get you off takers. That was the promises. But unfortunately, you 99% of those who are real farmers never benefited from it.
Farmers actually cried out on the...
Yes, most of those who are farmers, but those who are getting the loan are not farmers. Who are they? Are they ghosts? I don't know. Who brought them? I don't know.
All right, we'll continue this conversation after this commercial break. Still Periscope on Al-IyamoyeTv and radio, and we discuss on the increment of tuition free in our unity schools and of course our tertiary institutions. How justifiable is that to every player, every stakeholder in the education sector? Stay with us, don't go.
Gbogbo aláfẹ́ tó gba yìí tó fẹ́ wọṣọ yìí ṣoge tó bágbà mu ló ń kọjá lọ sí House of Zayana. Of Zayana, the name I know when we talk of top-notch fashion, quality materials and class. House of Zayana lẹ́tí máa rójúlówó Turkey wears, Egypt and Malaysia clothing, Dubai, àwọn designer bags lórí àwọn ìtẹ̀lẹ̀ bàtà tó jìnnà tí wọ́n fawọ́ original ṣe. Àwọn tó ń ka wákàtí ọjọ́, designer sunglasses and perfumes pẹ̀lú àwọn gbogbo nǹkan tóbìnrin àsìkò fi ń gbafẹ́ lò gbà. Mo débẹ̀ ojú mi ń ṣe kámi. Èmi ni ó rà, èmi ni ó mú. Gbogbo ẹ̀yin mùsùlùmí ẹlẹ́sìn tẹ́ gbòógì gbọ́n pa fashion. Tẹ́ wá nílò jàlábí àti àbáyà lóríṣiríṣi. House of Zayana lẹ́ ò ti rí gbogbo ẹ̀ rà. House of Zayana wà ní 52 Ọlọ́run ṣògo road adjacent Redeemed Church Agape Parish Ọlọ́run ṣògo Abẹ́òkúta. Lórí Instagram House of Zayana 081656888 House of Zayana. Ilé ìtajà tá a ti ń tojúlówó aṣọ àti nǹkan aṣaralóge ti ń gbé yìí. Gbogbo aláfẹ́ tó gba yìí tó fẹ́ wọ.
Still Periscope on Al-IyamoyeTv and radio, and right here we are still discussing the issue of the increment of tuition fee and of course different fees in our institutions and colleges, unity schools to be precise. And I still have with me Fisayomi Ajibola having this discussion and conversation together. Of course, you can always drop your comments. You have any comments, any submission on this very topic, you can always drop a comment under this video in the comment section right at this handle Al-IyamoyeTv and radio, and let the conversation continue from there. Still talking about during the weekend, the one of the newspapers, Leadership to be precise, revealed that virtually all federal universities charge students a wide range of fees and are in fact beginning to raise the different categories of fees by close to 200%. I want to come from the Nigerians factor issue in trying to exploit opportunities, so to say, especially when it has to do with when they notice that a particular policy is being approved or is an avenue to increase and skyrocket prices of things. Now, in Federal University of Lafia, Nasarawa, for instance, the charges include medical examination, identity card, SUG dues, students handbook, caution, examination library, sanitation, ICT, sports and games, result verification, issuance, municipal services, lab, studio, workshop, teaching practice, field trip, CWES project, and all of that. The University of Lagos, which has similar charges, has more than 62,000 students, indicating it generates billions of naira each semester. And I can remember when I was in school too, a lot of dues, a lot of charges that we will definitely be charged. And when you have in a particular faculty a high number of students, and of which if this number of students contribute or you charge them the least of 1,000 naira, you know how much you generate from that 1,000 naira. And now, what would you say to the Nigerians factor, seizing the opportunity to, because charging these lot of charges, SUG dues, handbook, caution, and everything they had put increased the price. What's your comment? What's your take on that?
Those prices cannot come in isolation. The tuition fee too. The moment there is increase in tuition fee, others, like ID card too, will increase. If the cost for ID card is like 300 naira before, it's going to go to like 3,000 naira. It will go across board. Now, what are the issues we have in our tertiary institutions? Don't forget, sometimes ago, I think it was during the first term of President Muhammad Buhari, I think that there was issues of payment portal, the IPPIS. Right. The federal government found out that most of these schools, they don't even audit their accounts. There has been issues about salaries, paying ghost workers. The schools has its own problem. We have not heard that the federal government has said to the federal institutions, I'm not going to be giving you a kind of bailout again. No. Federal government give them the amount of money. Some few, like pay their salaries and give them a small amount for running costs. Now, from the part-time student, which is solely from all what part-time students pay, is solely into the pockets of the school. It's meant to run the school and take charge of so many things. There are some lecturers that you have to engage more than in one courses. Maybe they take 100 level this, 400 level another course. You pay them for it. Because they claim to be shortages of manpower in terms of lecturers. Now, without those facilities, the school does not, in this time, this era, these situations Nigeria experiencing, they do not have the moral justification to add a penny to it, except if the federal government is not giving them anything. Because what the students are paying already, let's assume in a school there's 5,000 students. What am I saying? Maybe in one level, maybe on the level, 5,000 students. Acceptance fee, 20,000 times per person, times 5,000. Acceptance fee does not go to the purse of the federal government. So what is the school doing with that one? So before you come out to say you want to increase all those things, you need to give us justification. Tell us what is your earning. Tell us which one goes to the federal government, to the purse of the federal government. Let auditors go to these schools. Agreed. Everything is expensive in Nigeria. Petrol, feeding, everything is expensive. But those schools does not have moral justification. Because most of them they also establish primary and secondary schools in the name of the universities. Virtually university has it. That like for example, you have the secondary school, you have nursery and primary school. Most of them all has it. Does that amount of money the money they realize from those schools, does it go into the pocket of the government? No. They use it to pay their teachers. And what happened to the rest? So if you are coming to tell us you want to increase on what basis? Bring your books out. Let's see your financial reports. Let's see how you have been running at a loss. Let's see what the federal government is giving you for the running cost, and see what else is it that you're making.
So buttress, talking about money, so buttress what you're saying, given the data, In the 2023 budget of the federal government, 1.79 trillion naira was set aside for the education sector, out of which 470 billion naira was tied to tertiary institutions, and another 248.3 billion naira was allocated to the Tertiary Education Trust Fund, that's TED Fund. But through publicly available data, it was reviewed by leadership, was able to ascertain that the university themselves raised just as much in revenue, which they rarely account for. And the University of Lagos, for instance, has a total population of 62,215 according to the 2019-2020 statistics. 35,436 students are undergoing full-time undergraduate programs, 57% of the total number. 2,532 are in distance learning institutes, 9,046 pursuing postgraduate degrees, 2,797 students in the Institute of Continuous Education, and 2,404 in the sub-degree pedigree program, and all of that, actually. What would you say should be, we've talked about the issue, really, what should be done? Or, I don't know if you've emphasized what is responsible, first of all, to be able to talk about where do we go.
What is responsible is that we love taking advantage of ourselves. Because the price of a loaf of bread has increased. Because the pump price has increased. The school sees it as, okay, let's also add something to it, to our own tuition fee. There is no justification for it. See the example of data from Unilag there. Do you know how many students are in DLI, the Distant Learning Institute of Unilag? Those money are not meant to be remitted to the federal government. It's the money for the school. As at that report, 2019-2020, 62,000 students. Who their tuition fee, 19,000, 20,000, thereabout, goes to the federal government. What happened to the rest? All the other
fees, charges.
So what happened to it? The money in the custody of this school is just too much for them to come out to be telling us that there is, that they want to hide the tuition fee. No. Now, the issue here, the solution is for government to get involved. Let government set up monitoring agencies. Whichever dime is being released for these schools will be monitored. See the TED Fund, about what the federal government said they released and what we are in Nigeria. We know that the federal government might not have released such amount of money. And if truly the money has been released, that amount of money will not have gotten to the school. Because we know in Nigeria, the lower it comes, the more the reduced the amount becomes. Now, so if we look at it this way, first thing we need to do, federal government need to put in place is a monitoring agency. Whatever it is that is being allocated for a particular person or a particular school, let there be a report of, we have increased 1,000 naira to buy microphone. Where is the microphone? Where did you buy the microphone? How do we service the microphone? They follow it to the end. When there is accountability, possibility of people thinking to siphon money will be reduced.
Transparency.
There will be transparency because you know that whatever it is you are purchasing, whatever it is that you are there must be an audit report. Let auditors who are sincere come to audit the books of tertiary institutions. Don't wait till the VC got transferred or retired before somebody will come, okay, we want to audit his tenure. No. Make it an annual thing. Let's see. From there we will know. I know of a university in Nigeria that it's when they get to 300 level before they will get matric number. From 100 level to 300, they write exams with their names. You don't have their record, but you have receipt of their school of their payments. And you tell me you don't know the number. What about those what they are paying? Are you telling me you can be in a school and not pay for exams and not pay tuition fee and sit for exam from 100 level to 300? It's not possible. So the fact is the federal government has made that vacuum open, and the tertiary institutions will continue to feed fat on it.
Definitely, education is one of the pillars that build society, and the government, on its part, is still insisting that tertiary education is free. Well, maybe free. The word "free" can be relative, or we take it as a relative word as it is now. But talking about
free, it cannot be relative. It is not free.
Okay, let's talk about the NANS threat on the strike, or the reaction from parents. What should be reaction from parents and the major stakeholders here in the education sector? Because definitely these are the people that get much of contribution to it. The NANS are threatened to have the kind of lecturers strike we had, the almost 8-month strike, if there is no reversal in those that have increased their tuition fee, and stop telling the federal government to stop every hike in all institutions. Do you think this is a way to go, or how do you think these major parents, because parents are also lamenting, should be the way forward to react to this situation?
Okay, the National Association of University Students has threatened to go on a mass protest, not a strike.
They threatened
mass protest. And that is where I want us to look at. They have not said they will boycott class, which will be a strike. They said they are going to protest. Now, the protest can be in form of march pass, can be in form of marching to government, to the federal government, or to the Senate, or to the rep, government parastatals, government, this thing. They can march up to that. They can go those to the places and express their displeasure toward what is happening. But what they have not indicated of doing is that they have not told us that they are going to boycott class. Now, and their reason is this. They said, if you look at what is obtainable in Nigeria of today, there is no justification for hike in tuition fee. Now, if the NANS is telling us that, okay, for Nigerian students, Nigerian university students, we do not want this hike. We're going home. We will boycott the class. We will protest. Now, we know the federal government that we have. This is the federal government that the NLC, no, the ASU, protested about what they needed. But unfortunately, another group broke out of ASU, who happens to be pro-government. Our governments are too wise. The moment this National Associations of Nigerian University Students start any protest, they will get a breakout from them and use it against them. Because they have weaponized poverty to the extent that everybody is looking for survivor. There are some who are brilliant and part of the National Union of the University Students who do not have opportunity to interact with the government. They will bring them closer, play with them with money, and they will go out and say, we are pro-tuition hike. That is our country for you. So we're in a dilemma. This one I said they are going to protest. Let them start the protest. Let's see. They will not use another person to come and chase them away. They will use students like them to chase them away from the protest. By the time they give them money, I tell them, see that your friend, go and chase him away. It's when police beat you that you become news. Police will not beat you. A student like you will fight and they will turn it to 250 and carry the two of you to station. So they have weaponized poverty. So it's going to be very difficult for them to achieve this mass protest. It is going to be very difficult. They cannot express their grievance, even with a good intention, for 1 month.
But we've always witnessed the outcome of things like this. Either the people still, at the end of the day, succumb to the policy or the action being taken by the federal government. Do you see a change, a reversal in the tuition fee? Because most times in Nigeria, when things are done this way, we always know the outcome. Is either the students or the parents still succumb at the end of the day, and we continue like that. What do you think?
There's a popular stake saying in my language that Lala Toroke, Ile Lobo. But in Nigerian context, the Lala that is going up will never come down.
It has not been coming down.
It has never been coming down. I have not seen anywhere in this country that this is a country where they said, petrol price has increased. And that person who has bought it 1 month ago increased what he's selling immediately. Did he buy at that price? No. No. But he increased it. Do you know the profit margin that that person is going to get for that few days? No. Now they have increased it. It can never come down to the normal price again. No. Tuition fee? No. It can never. Whatever government will say, okay, we will see to it. We will discuss. At the point they will say, okay, we have reached an agreement. It's not 100% again. It's 50%. It's not 200% again. It's 100%.
And you don't see this administration always feeling the impulse of the reaction of people at least
In what way? Give me an example of the one.
Example of the 8,000 naira. Now it's being reviewed.
Yeah, that the reason why that 8,000 naira will be reviewed because it's an eyesore. It is insulting for you to tell me that you are going to give a family 8,000 naira
for 30 days.
For 30 days.
When it was
Another
the breakdown was done.
Do they even have data of families in the country? Do we know how many we are? Some said we are 200 million. Some said we are lesser than that. Some said we are more than that. Do we have data? The only data we can get in this country is phone number. Can that be used as a yardstick to measure the number of people? No.
Because one
so
person
you cannot use that 8,000 naira.
multiple.
Instead of that 8,000 naira, why don't you talk about doing a refinery, fixing a refinery, and let's see if it will reduce the burden on the electorates. So it can never come down to the normal price. What we will do is probably there will be a meeting point. They will say, okay, you are not paying the 19 again, maybe pay 50. But coming back to that normal price, no. It's pretty hard. Maybe it's going to be the first time.
We wish, I could remember in school then one of my lecturers will always appreciate Awolowo for free education, always doffing his hat when he lectures, gives us lecture. And then I always think, can we go back to those times when education will be free or education is free? But we always keep hope alive, and we always hope for the better.
Yes, renewed hope.
Renew our hope.
Yes, renew.
Thank you so much, Al-IyamoyeTv Ajibola, for being around this
Thank
morning.
you too.
Really appreciate it. It's always a pleasure. That will be the size of the package this morning on Periscope on Al-IyamoyeTv and radio. Thank you so much. Of course, the conversation continues. Just drop your submission. Anytime you watch the video, you have any reservation, you can definitely drop that under the comments section on Al-IyamoyeTv and radio. Other social media platforms, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. You can also follow us for more programs on Al-IyamoyeTv and radio. I remain Modupe, Akinyosoye. Have a fantastic day.